What's up, guys? So we just briefly want to talk to you about a little hypothetical that came across our desk the other day. Bleacher Report posted an article proposing the idea that we could trade Ntilikina, and Courtney Lee for Jimmy Buckets, guys, on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Listen, I know where you guys stand, but for the audience at home, you voted 54% no and 46% yes you would like to trade. I'm not quite sure what you guys are thinking. It's no, no, and yes right here. Guys, what do you think?
On the island.
Let's start with you, Far.
I don't even know. I was going to say ladies first, but so be it. Let me lay this out. So you're talking about a contract that needs to be shed in Courtney Lee.
Can we start off? Respect to all players. This is hypothetical, and respect to all players.
This is probably not happening.
This is not happening.
I wasn't trying to disrespect anyone.
No,
what kind of argument you're coming at me with? But I ain't disrespectful.
No, I'm saying to begin with. That's how respectful I am.
Do me a solid. Don't interrupt my argument ever again.
Come on, Queen. Come on, Queen.
All right, let me lay this out for you. So we have a contract that we need to shed in Courtney Lee. Yes, I think that's unanimously agreed upon. We got Ntilikina, who is in his second year, sophomore season, and expected to improve. And where you stand on that, that's subjective, but I think objectively speaking, he is getting bigger, he's getting stronger, and he has the right tools to improve. And then you have Jimmy Butler, who wants out of Minnesota, didn't do so great in the locker room in Chicago, and is in his contract year. So there's still a chance that we can sign him in 2019. How many times did Knicks have to go over giving up some young prospect and getting a wasted contract in return, who eventually either leaves or finagles his way into a bad contract with the Knicks? Time and time and time again. I want to talk specifically about this trade that was proposed. Lee and Frank for Jimmy Butler. It's an absolute no from me, dog. We can find other suitors for Courtney Lee. That's not a big concern of mine. I think that it will happen before the preseason starts, but we do not need to salvage our future once again like we always have.
Jay, before I allow you to respond here, I know you got some heat brewing up. I can see the steam off your head.
Like the freaking meme when the vein just popping out that kid. Like
clearly, can we show a clip of that video of him on the roller coaster?
Like 5 minutes. I haven't talked about CrossFit.
All right, guys. Before we allow Jay to respond, if you haven't seen my video on IG breaking down why I say no, please go check that out right now. Jay, go ahead with your yes.
Right. My thing is, how many people compared this to the Carmelo Anthony trade? Simply in the sense that you can get this player in the offseason.
Does he want yes, or is he proving why we should say no?
No, I'm saying that's an argument that was utilized.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's an argument that was utilized. Correct? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody nodded their head yes. Correct.
Yeah.
All right. This is why it is not the same situation. At that point in time, we traded away 4 people from our starting lineup for one, yes, top 3, top 5 player at that point in time. Arguably.
That's even pushing it. But yeah.
Well, top 10, hands down. He was at that point in time in the league. Hands down. Here, we're trading someone that has the potential, which yes, he has because he's young, but how much is he going to potentially develop?
We don't know.
We don't know. And of course, subjective, but I see his cap sort of being a Shaun Livingston type of role player. I think he can contribute in the correct system. I think he is an amazing role player that can, again, contribute. But I think Jimmy Butler's worth in the league is just the value is more than Frank's potential at the end of the day. Okay. That's the only reason why I would pull that trade. And again, this is not something I'm actively looking for. This is simply a hypothetical that landed on the desk.
We understand. So let me just ask you this, because I want to clarify for the viewers at home.
Yes.
This is something we discussed off camera. So I don't mean to put you on the spot. But you did say, right?
Yes.
That you would make this trade in the hopes of flipping Jimmy Butler because he has a higher value than either of the two players.
And that's the thing. Essentially, you're flipping something else for something else even better and even more. So I would even get more creative, either get a third team involved or pull this at the very early of the season. So therefore, you have the days necessary for it to clear. And by trade deadline, you could still pull another potential trade.
Well, listen,
now, I know. this, in terms of the culture, could be a shocker, how much it could shake up the locker room and things of that nature. But again, hypothetical, that landed on the desk that I'm not actively pursuing this trade.
Okay, really quickly. Yes, Farr and I may think that this trade is a little bit outlandish, and it may be a little bit ridiculous for you to say yes to this trade. But 46% of you guys at home did agree with Jay about making the trade.
What
and I can
more?
kind of see you're making a good point here.
What more also, if we even decide to keep him, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Jimmy Butler, no disrespect, he still play amazing, amazing two-way player, but what more of an olive branch even to show to someone like a Kyrie, like, yo, we already traded for your boy that you want to play with? Like, the papers are literally just being shown.
That worked real well when we got Melo and tried to court LeBron, too. So I'm not even going to get into that garbage-ass argument that you just put forth. Second of all, please don't compare Shaun Livingston to Frank Ntilikina, who I don't think Shaun Livingston, don't get me wrong. Great.
Not?
Hey, let me finish my point.
Not?
I was quiet while you were arguing. Let me finish my point, boy.
You spoke for 10 minutes already.
Let me finish. Actually, I
you
timed
have to
myself.
charge up. You have to charge up.
I timed myself, all right? I was courteous.
Go through, guys.
Shaun Livingston, no disrespect to him, I think he's a solid player for a championship caliber team, and I think that he can be an incredibly valuable player across the board. Frank Ntilikina already has the assets to be a top 10 defender in the league. He's already top 5 in a lot of defensive stats in the league.
Yes.
So already top 1. He's already a perennial, all defensive tooled player.
Yeah.
Shaun Livingston is not. All right, just seeing that from a year one player, and then you're willing to trade him for a guy like Jimmy Butler, who you can just reap the benefits of everything Jimmy Butler offers the following year when he's up for a contract. Not make the same mistake, and I'll get to your Carmelo argument really quickly. Not making the same mistake, which is signing a player in his or trading for a player in his contract year when he could have had him the following year. So that's one. Two. Getting someone like Jimmy Butler on this team and trading away an asset like Frank Ntilikina does not only disrupt the culture, but that's going to disrupt the fluidity of what you're trying to build here with the New York Knicks. I think that is a key point that should not be mistaken. The Carmelo comparison, the Carmelo trade comparisons, obviously the volume of that, the tangible assets, I don't think anyone's comparing that. I think what we're comparing is the fact that young for old. That's what we're trading away. When we could have had, and I don't want to call Carmelo old at that point, we could have had him the following year.
He was like 26, right?
Yeah, he was
around there.
He was.
So, really quick, Jay.
Go ahead.
Because, you know I love you, bro, but you're wrong. You're wrong. And let me flat out say it, okay? And so are you, 46% at home. You're wrong, too.
But this is the thing. You're going off what you value your asset versus I'm giving it a different value. You're giving Frank a lot more value than what I give him.
Sure.
And and this is the thing. I'm going off what sort of the market value of your perception of him, which is why I think he holds a higher value now as more tape continues to come out on him. Like, yes, he's developed on Frank. Yes, he's developing. But so will also the IQ of other players defending him as they continue to see what moves he continues to develop in. And I think even you guys said it during the summer league. Like, I kind of expected him to make a certain... Fine, bro, one game and whatnot. But I mean... Still, with that said, I expected to see some sort of a leap in terms of the IQ and the decisions made
I thought he played pretty well. I mean, he played fairly decent. I did see a little bit of improvement. It was marginal, but there was a little bit of improvement.
Yeah.
All right, can I just explain my argument here really quickly?
Didn't he
You already had your
Instagram, bro?
Yeah, check Instagram. Hey, Instagram only gave me a minute. I want to speak for a little longer, all right? You spoke your 10 minutes, and you're steaming over here. Let me finish what I got to say, all right? So Jimmy Butler. I get it. You're from the school of thought that you want to acquire the best player available in the trade. Whoever the best player in the trade is, you want to make sure you get him, right?
And at the same time that I don't think they're asking much of me to give up.
I got you, right?
My perception.
First things first, I'm very critical of Jimmy Butler. I think he's a great two-way player, but I do think he is overrated at times. He's going to be 30. Let's just be honest. He's on a contract year. He's going to be 30 years old. I'm not willing to issue out a max deal for a player on the wrong side of 30. I think that's just ridiculous at this point. We still need to go along with the timeline. Knicks fans, what don't you understand? 1 minute you're hot, you're all on board for yeah, let's go with the timeline. I'm done with all this losing. I'm done with all this losing assets and pieces. So let's go through the slow rebuild, right? Next minute, you hear one rumor, and you guys are jumping for joy. Yeah, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. Let's pull the trigger. No, take a step back, guys. He'll be 30 years old. He's on a contract year. Not to mention, let's be honest here. There may be a locker room issue with Jimmy Butler. Every stop he's been placing blame on other players. He didn't get along with D. Rose when he returned from injury. He didn't get along with Rondo. He didn't get along with Wade, although they mended their relationship. It was too little, too late.
Well,
he didn't get along with Cat.
Like almost headstrong players, almost all of those players.
But you have to learn how to gel with other players. He didn't get along with Cat. He didn't get along with Andrew Wiggins. That's 5 guys who were all all-stars, except Wiggins. They were all all-stars. And I'm just saying, at some point, you're going to have to look in the mirror and think you're the problem.
Would you be open to signing Jimmy to like a 2-year contract next year?
If it's not a max deal, if he's willing to take a pay cut for Kyrie, sure. And I hear all these things about, you know, if we get Jimmy Butler, it's a guarantee that Kyrie's coming. I'm not willing to take that chance. And word is on the street. I mean, Jay, you had a pretty credible source.
We have sources that told us, NBA players that told us that he is coming for sure.
And we're not talking about J.R. Smith's comment. We're talking about like in-person interaction with NBA players.
In person. And I'm like, yo, do not tease me. He's like, yo, I'm not teasing you. I'm telling you, your boy's coming. Your boy's coming to New York.
So with that news there, I mean, do you think Jimmy Butler will seal the deal? Because I think he's coming regardless.
I think for sure it would seal the deal. Again, we don't know what could change. We still have a season to get through. But my thing is as well, just to go back a little bit, you said the timeline, and I know yesterday you were mentioning the core of the Knicks. I want to say, with all due respect to Frank, if it wasn't for Phil Jackson being there, he may have not been selected and would have been, part of this core. Right. So again, that goes into account of my value of how I value Frank.
Okay, you're talking about Kyrie Irving, though, right?
Yes.
He's not a premier defender. Right?
No.
Okay, the value of Frank Ntilikina will go up exponentially if we get Kyrie Irving. We have Kyrie on the court. Who knows? Frank Ntilikina can slot into the 2 guard position.
And he continues to grow, so he could hold himself down.
Bro, he can guard the best point guards in the league while Kyrie can take a little night off and just score. You know, I think his value is dependent on who you place around him. I don't think Frank Ntilikina is the fixture, the figurehead, the franchise player that we all expected him to be. I just don't think I
don't think anyone expected Frank to be the franchise player. I think
when we drafted him, they expected a franchise player. I mean, 8th overall.
Well, we don't really know what Phil Jackson was thinking, but
we'll never know.
At the end of the day, I think if they were still aligned with the views of draft night, which was, we don't like this kid, why do we select him? Hypothetically speaking. They would have traded him already. Clearly, they still see the value that Frank brings along that a lot of Knicks fans see, which is you're already a one-way premier player. You are very, very solid, heading towards premiership. So, therefore, you have that aspect of you on defense. Work on the offensive game. That's going to come along. A lot slower than what Knicks fans are hoping for, but the kid is foreign, 18 years old. He ain't Kevin Knox. I think he'll get there.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't help myself with the creativity that I had in my head to potentially squeeze out maybe another draft pick with the upcoming class that we have coming up.
You should know better before you bring that bullshit to my court.
Oh, please.
All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap it for this hypothetical trade that Bleacher Report
Love you, J-Dog.
All right. Spare me the pleasantries, all right? This is Jay, TK, Far.
Make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe, share this video, hit us up, let us know what you're thinking.
Peace. Later.